In today's episode, Magdalena asks, can you run effective marketing without data? Yes, absolutely you can. Think about the history of marketing. Marketing has been around for decades, if not hundreds of years. Modern marketing certainly has been around for decades. Marketing itself, I mean, technically, as soon as the first store was invented in prehistoric, in pre-modern times, that the bazaar merchant shouting out his wares to the passers-by, that's marketing. So, absolutely, marketing has functioned without modern data analysis capabilities for a very long time. Now, what are the conditions under which you can market effectively without data? Number one, you lack scale, and you're okay with that lack of scale, so that you and the people who work for you can talk to customers all the time and get a true sense of what the customer actually wants. And again, this is not new. Even relatively big companies in decades past were able to talk to customers, do surveys, do focus groups, things like that, just to get a sense of what the customers actually want and actually need. Today, obviously, that's a little bit harder, but if you're okay with not becoming a massive conglomerate overnight, then yes, you can market without data. The second is that data is not an essential ingredient to your business. So if your business is a data-based business, then obviously you're going to need to market with data. If it's not, if what you do is you just love to make people happy by making a certain kind of food or things like that, then yeah, you can market without data because the data is not an essential ingredient to your business. And third, if you're okay with a ceiling on your growth, if you're okay with there being a cap after which you're not going to grow, then you don't need to use any data without marketing other than what you do when you're interacting with customers on a daily basis. Now, marketers, like I said in the beginning, they've marketed without modern data systems for decades, if not centuries. And the most successful ones stayed in tune with the customer. They talked to customers. They were out in the field every day. They were at the storefront every day. Whatever the case is, they were talking to people every single day about the business, about what the customer needed and things like that. And they guessed right. They guessed right a fair amount of the time. And they were able to make a product a hit because they guessed what the customer wanted. Steve Jobs was legendary for this. He guessed what people wanted, and a fair amount of the time he was right. Even things that he wasn't necessarily right about at the time eventually ended up being reasonably right guesses. Like the Newton was their handheld device back in the late 90s. It didn't do very well. But the handheld device with machine learning recognition, very, very primitive at the time of handwriting and things, of course, eventually became the iPad. And so he was known for being able to guess what the consumer wanted. There are tons of cases where companies did not guess right about a product. And New Coke, for example, for those of you with a little more gray in your hair, remember that Coca-Cola attempted to change their recipe. It didn't go so well. Today, that's a lot harder to do. There is, for a couple reasons. One, smartphones, smart devices, all these things have taken over our lives, and so they are transmitting a lot more data, which means that if you choose to not use data as a company, your competitors are, and so they have substantial competitive advantage over you in terms of what the customer is saying, what the customer is doing, and things like that. And so marketing without that data is very, very difficult when your competitors are using data. There's sort of a data arms race. And second, customers, or companies, I should say, have substantially less appetite and tolerance for risk. Companies now don't want to guess. They don't want to waste years and potentially millions or billions of dollars on a product that the customer doesn't want. And so data is absolutely essential to marketing, to inform that marketing, to inform product development and the marketing of something, so that they have a guaranteed hit, so that they have, or as close to a guaranteed hit as they can get. A really good example of this, and one that shows you one of the risks of relying too much on data, is Hollywood. Hollywood is not made an original movie in a really long time. We are up to what, Avengers 4 and Iron Man 4 and all of these relatively uncreative, formulaic movies, because that's what the audience wants, and there isn't enough research to show that it's worth taking a risk on a completely new formula that the audience may hate, because movies cost tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, except for the little indie breakouts. And so today, marketing without data is substantially harder. Can you be effective as a marketer? Yes. Particularly if you are a more senior marketer and you have other people who are good at data who can provide some of that, even if it doesn't necessarily drive your decisions, it at least informs your decisions. The New York Times had a great piece on this not too long ago about being the difference between data-driven and data-informed. Data-informed means that you take it into account as one of the factors in what you choose to cover or not cover, but you don't dictate your business solely based on the data, which is what data-driven is. So, can you be effective in marketing without data? Yes, but it's much, much harder than it used to be. And you have to work for a company that is extremely risk tolerant, and because you're going to be guessing all the time, and there's a good chance you're not going to guess correctly. There are very, very few people who are Steve Jobs in any industry these days. So, great question, interesting question. This is actually a part of a series from Brand24, so we'll be sharing this with them as well, so on their blog. But great question. As always, please subscribe to the newsletter and the YouTube channel. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. If you want help with your company's data and analytics, visit braintrustinsights.com today and let us know how we can help you.